Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Never let a tragedy go to waste is the calling card of not just the left, but even the right. I mean, it's just a two-headed coin most of the time. But the anti-gunners live and breathe and make their money off of that creed. And of course, they're going to piggyback off what happened in New York. And yesterday they resubmitted a bill that we've had before. And it's a far stretch, but they want everybody who will purchase a firearm in this country to get a permit to do so from the Department of Justice. Yep, the federal firearm permit is back on the docket. Same three Bobos that have done it before have done it this time again. Cory Booker, Bob Menendez, and Richard Blumenthal. Booker and Menendez from New Jersey, Blumenthal from Connecticut. First, I'm going to give you some quotes of these clowns that put it forward. Then I'm going to read some of the bill to you, and we'll discuss where it goes from here. I don't think there's much of a chance in hell for this snowball that they're throwing up, but I want to bring it to you regardless. First quote is from Senator Bob Menendez, who said, "The United States stands alone in our failure to protect our citizens from gun violence. While many states, including New Jersey, have common-sense gun laws, the need for federal licensing standards has long been clear. The Federal Firearms Licensing Act would put in place a certification process that includes firearm safety training and a thorough criminal background and identity check, requiring the licensee to be 21 years of age. We have a moral obligation to prevent these senseless massacres in our schools, supermarkets, places of worship, and shopping malls that are tearing communities and families apart. It is my hope that my Republican colleagues will once and for all recognize the urgency of action and join us in passing this legislation before more lives are senselessly lost to gun violence." Yeah, the government, nowhere in the founding documents does it say that the government has a responsibility to keep the individual safe. It's just not there. This is something that they want to use to try to pull on the heartstrings so they can further limit our right to keep and bear arms. We don't get that right from government. Get that straight. Next up is Senator Kooky Eyes Cory Booker, and he said, "In our nation, gun violence has become eerily routine, and we've done little to stop the horrific mass shootings that devastate the lives of victims and their loved ones. Accepting this shameful status quo will continue to lead to deadly consequences. We need to adopt proven, common-sense measures that will address the scourge of gun violence and make our communities safer. This bill moves us in the right direction and is based on a simple concept. You need a license to drive a car. You should need one to buy and possess a gun. Firearms licensing laws have broad public support and have been shown to reduce gun violence in states that have enacted them, including in my home state of New Jersey. This is the moment to enact ambitious legislation. As a nation, we must rise to it, or we are fated to witness the deadly scenes of this past weekend and years passed over again." You need a license to drive because you don't have a right to drive. Driving is considered a privilege. The Second Amendment is considered a right, and it's a pre-existing right, not given to us by the Constitution, but recognized by. Next, Senator Blumenthal said, "This legislation will save lives and protect communities across the United States from the devastating impact of gun violence, as shown by the success in Connecticut. Simple common sense standards, like licensing laws, require the completion of a background check and firearm safety certification work. I am proud to join Senators Booker and Menendez in this effort to address our nation's gun violence epidemic." Obviously, these three clowns are pushing an agenda. Obvious, we know this. On screen again here, this is what would be needed to obtain this federal firearms license according to the bill that was submitted, and I'll have the bill linked down below. Certification that the individual completed the firearms safety training, which must include a written test and hands-on training to ensure safe use and accuracy. Number 2, completion of a criminal history background check. And number 3, submission of fingerprints, proof of identity, and verification the individual is at least 21 years old. Interesting. They're all for you proving who you are with your ID for your right to keep and bear arms, but not to go vote and prove you're a citizen voting for whatever office, because you have to be a citizen in order to vote. But fact schmacks. So this federal firearms license would be good for 5 years if this were ever to pass. I don't think it will. I don't think it stands a chance. And then you would have to redo the whole process, including the class and the qualification. All the firearms training, you'd have to redo that every 5 years. And of course, the DOJ could revoke this if you ever became considered a risk to yourself or others. And now I want to show you a couple parts of the bill. We'll be quick, but that's why I didn't put the video out yesterday, because I wanted the bill, and it took me a little while to get it. But there's more that they're asking for than what they put out in the press release. For instance, here, under requirements, we'll start with A. individuals shall be eligible to receive such a license. If you have completed training in firearm safety, which includes a written test to demonstrate knowledge of applicable firearms laws. Number 2, hands-on testing, including firearms testing to demonstrate safe use and sufficient accuracy of a firearm. Who determines what that is? And the next one, as part of the process for applying for such a license, person has 1, submitted to a background investigation and criminal history check. 2, submitted proof of identity. 3, submitted the fingerprints of the individual. 4, submitted identifying information on the firearm that the person intends to obtain, including the make, model, and serial number, and the identity of the firearm seller or transferor. Guys and gals, that's a registry. The best part that they don't tell you in the press gobbledygook is that when you apply to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice for this, please give me this permit, please give me permission, oh good king, it's only good for one firearm. So if you want to buy multiple firearms, you need to do this over and over and over and over again. And then we'll get to the denials, because they can deny you, should this ever go through, again, which I don't think it ever will, but unless, I mean, let's not say never. Let me show you the denials, because they can deny you for this for a whole plethora of reasons that don't affect you now if you happen to live in a state, or some states it won't affect you where they have permitting issues. So under denials, you can be denied for A, the history of threats or acts of violence towards self or others. Did you ever get into a fight when you were younger? Well, that could be used against you. B, history of use, attempted use, or threatened use of physical force by the applicant against another person. Ever been in a bar fight? Ever been a teenager and had to settle your issues with fists? Well, they can deny you. C, whether the applicant is the subject or has violated a domestic violence or stalking restraining order or protection order. That's the made-up boyfriend loophole. D, any prior arrest, pending charge, or conviction for the violent or serious crime or disorderly persons offense, stalking offenses, or domestic violence offense. Whoa. Disorderly person? That's really vague. Like, that is downtown at night and yelling and screaming just so that one person's peace was disturbed. That's how the laws are written. One person's peace was disturbed, you're a disorderly person. And it's also disturbing the peace in some jurisdictions. That's pretty friggin' vague. And to have that as a friggin' denial to access, to access or to be granted access to your God-given right? No. E, any prior arrest, pending charge, or conviction for any offense involving cruelty to animals. F, history of drug or alcohol abuse or involvement in drug trafficking. If you live in a state that has legalized marijuana, federally, marijuana is still illegal, and they're going to use it against you. G, any recent acquisition of firearms, ammunition, or other deadly weapons. Have you bought a gun? Have you bought ammunition? Well, that's a reason for denial of this license. H, involvement in firearms trafficking or unlawful firearms transfers. And I, history of unsafe storage or handling of firearms. Now, we're almost done here, but what if you live in a state that has a licensing system already? On screen here, state licenses. In general, this shall not apply to an individual in a state if the Attorney General determines that the state has a process for issuing a state firearms license to eligible individuals in the state with substantially similar requirements to those described in subsection B. So if your state already has licensing and it's not significantly close to what I just explained, then you're going to have to get the federal one anyway. This is an overreach. This is disgusting. But the three people who put this forward are disgusting. Menendez, Cory Booker, and Richard Blumenthal. Disgusting individuals who have taken an oath and they shatter that oath every freaking day that they show up for work. Let me know what you all think about this one. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you've been a member of this channel for a long time, you'll remember this bill. It has been submitted before by these three bobos, but it's here again because they think they can pull on the heartstrings and force Joe Biden and his cronies to do something. Well, here it is. Let me know what you think down below. And until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. And peaceful noncompliance is a son of a bitch, ain't it? Take care.